Winning cures everything. Now for your hosts, Gary and Chris.
Welcome in, Winning Cures Everything. It is the Friday, March 4th edition of the show. I'm Gary.
And I'm Chris.
And I actually got to see Chris in person for the first time in what, weeks? I mean, since football season at least.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's been a long time. It's been a real long time.
It certainly has. Well, so we all went to see, I say we all, I went with a friend, Chris went with a friend. We ended up going to the Batman, the fan premiere, whatever it was, on Tuesday night, without getting into spoilers and everything else, because it technically doesn't open until later on Friday, way after the show. What are your thoughts? I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, no, I thought it was real good. I enjoyed it a lot. It was long. I think they basically tried to make two different 90-minute movies because the story, it's basically two completely different stories, as it goes on a little. But neither here nor there. I don't have any complaints about that. It was good.
I thought it was really good. So I had the guy that I was with, his name is Ryan, and he said afterwards, not to be caught up in the moment, but he thought it could be the best Batman movie that has come out. And I don't know that I disagree.
Well, I think this. I do think I walked out of there thinking it's definitively the top two with Dark Knight. I don't think there's a question there.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I tend to agree. All right, so that'll take us off of Batman. Let's get into some sports talk. Before we get into any kind of reads, etc., I like to jump into the biggest topics of the day, and we got two of them that are fairly interesting. So we'll go on and start off with this first one, college football rule changes. And my goodness, we have something that I have been talking about for quite some time. I got into a conversation last Friday evening with Dave Bartu. He's at CFB Matrix on Twitter, and we were talking about the need to maybe cut back on the amount of plays. That would certainly appease the ACC when it comes to getting this playoff expansion off the ground, etc. And we talked back and forth about the number of plays that you could take out of the game by implementing certain rule changes. Well, this week, the NCAA announced that they are looking into, or the College Football Rules Committee was looking into changing a couple of different things. And Dennis Dodd wrote a really good article about this over at CBS. But the rule changes are looking to limit plays, and what they're calling plays now is exposures. So it's not just plays from scrimmage, it is the amount of times that you have a violent collision in a game. They're looking to cut that down in the college game. So basically, it would be shortening the game. The first rule would be incomplete passes would be treated the same as runs out of bounds. So the clock would start on the ready-to-play signal from the referee as opposed to when the ball is snapped. And the second rule is they would not stop the clock after first downs until you get later in the game, or possibly not at all. There's a lot of different ways that they could go at this. Give me your thoughts on this. I mean, we can look back at something that they did back in 2006. I've got some numbers here, but give me your thoughts on what this would mean for the college game.
Oh, I love the game. I love the rules changes. Anything to speed the game up to make them not last 4.5 hours is a good thing. We spend all day on Saturday watching these football games. And if you can burn through them a little bit faster, I think it's good for everybody involved. We live in a world of shorter attention spans. And secondly, this is about the player safety. Every time they have argued player safety is always for some other cockamamie bullcrap that they're actually really trying to either do or not do. And this is the first time that they've actually put a rule in where they're actually doing something that will affect player safety. Now, with that being said, once this happens, all the complaints now the argument for why they can't expand the playoffs is going to be finals and school testing and all this other stuff, because player safety goes way out the window. because you're going to. You and I talked about this on the show not too long ago. The difference in plays is going to equal full games. Full games.
Yes.
For these teams. And therefore, adding a game or two at the back end for only one or two teams is not going to change anything at all. So now you have your justification.
Yeah, it's a big change. It's a big change. Looking at some of the numbers, what I was going back and forth with Dave about was the amount of. So we talked initially. He started off by talking to Josh Pate and Paul Feinbaum about the amount of injuries that P5 teams have compared to G5 teams, right? So he started with the P5 starts lost to injury due to size and speed are over 3 times that of teams that are in the G5. It is a different game when you have the level of athlete that these G5 teams do, right? So when I brought up just looking at the national championship game, Alabama had 2 wide receivers that went out. 3 of the top 4 running backs were out. Top 3 cornerbacks, a couple of linebackers, several linemen on offense and defense. The injury rate across P5 conferences is insanely linear, right? So he started doing all this research, etc. If you cut down the plays, it creates closer games, creates a greater emphasis on coaching and scheme. For testing the clock doesn't stop rules, basically making it similar to the NFL. Here's what the numbers would be. Okay, it would actually take the game from about 3.5 hours on average to about 3 hours. In 2021, the average NFL offensive plays was 63.28. In college football, it was 70.62. So just round numbers, if you drop 14 to 15 plays from a game in college football, over a 12-game season, that's 88 plays. That is more than a full game. Exactly what you just talked about.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
More than a full game.
And if you look at even more of that, you start diving into what it means as far as points. You look at points per play average, etc. You're looking at cutting games by about 5.65 points per game, which gives you closer scores, more upsets, etc. We've talked about this forever. The way that teams in the past, the smaller teams, were able to pull upsets was when the bigger team, the more talented, more athletic team, did not run as many plays as the other team. If the other guys don't have as many chances, they're not going to get to show how much better they are over the course of a full game. And
that's it. So look, hang on. Let's take 30 minutes off of the game. Okay?
Yeah.
Of time, not of clock, but of time, right?
Right.
Alabama loses to LSU. Alabama loses to Auburn.
Yeah. And maybe Arkansas. I mean, any number of things.
That's right, man. I don't remember where that game was, but it took every inch of every second for them to come back and beat Auburn. It took them a whole lot of the fourth quarter to come back and overcome LSU. Like, when these teams that are not as good as you, somehow, because you sleepwalk through, you don't prepare, whatever the reason, a little guy, an underdog, gets up on you, all right? And they take a lead. The longer the game goes, the worse it is for the underdog. Because the team that's gotten caught up on, the big boy in the bunch, is the favorite. They're supposed to win.
Yes.
And then why are they supposed to win? Because they're more talented. Well, if you get down fast, that's fine. But if you got a lot of time to catch up and then to overcome the lead, it's just the better team always wins the longer the game goes.
Yes.
It's just always the way it is. And this will change college football. Think about how many times Ohio State got caught and in trouble, that Clemson got caught over the last decade. Like, these power teams were in trouble in games, and they came back and they found a way to win. And that's all great. I think a lot of those wins are now going to become losses. I think the idea of going 12-0 or 11-1 just ain't going to happen very much.
I tend to agree with you. It's
agree. It's going to become even more rare.
So, and I will tell you this, there are some coaches for these smaller teams that may not welcome this as much, right? Dave Clawson at Wake Forest has averaged over 80 plays a game for multiple seasons in a row. there are guys that like to coach that way. Now, you can still play tempo doing this. You just won't have as many plays, right?
No, I don't think that's going to affect guys like Dave Paulson at all.
Yeah, I tend to agree. So they did do something like this back in 2006, right? In February of 2006, the NCAA Football Rules Committee recommended what seemed like two minor changes. Beginning that season, the clock would start when the toe met leather on kickoffs instead of when the opposing team touched it, and the clock would start with the ready for play signal from the referee, not when the ball is snapped after a change of possession. Those seem like very small things, but they got a whole lot less football in those spots. It was so radical that those two rule changes only lasted that one 2006 season. Here are the numbers. Total plays declined by more than 13 per game on average. The drop in average yards per team was 33. That was the biggest drop since 1954. The scoring average per team was 24.1 points per game. It still remains the lowest in the last 31 years. So it is unprecedented changes, but in 2006, I don't know that we were that worried about the player safety stuff, right? Right now, we are looking at expanding playoffs, making players play more games, etc. Even if you did have a decline in plays, in yards per game, in points per game, etc., I don't know that is that big of a cost compared to the idea of playing more football, or at least more games. I think this is great. I think this is what we should have been doing a long time ago. You tend to agree?
Well, yes, I agree completely. This is the way the game's supposed to be played, and it speeds it up. It's gonna help with a lot of things, and I love this rule change. I'm glad college football is seeing the light. I just don't want to hear when they start making the arguments for why they don't want to expand the playoffs. All right, you've given us your argument. We just cut one of those legs out from under you. You don't get to use that anymore. We fixed that problem.
Now, it won't change anything as far as the commercials during a football game. Networks run, on average, 64 30-second commercials during a ball game. That's about 32 minutes worth of advertisement. There's a way that you can fix this. You can do the live in-game ad, like while a play is going on. You can run an ad next to it, all that kind of stuff that they're already doing for NASCAR, soccer, baseball, whatever. Right, they're doing this. The
NFL does it.
Yeah, the NFL does a lot of it, so that you don't miss any of the action. I think that's the biggest thing. But obviously, we will see what ends up happening with that. Let's talk about the NFL Combine right quick. Here we go. Kenny Pickett's hand size became a major topic of conversation on Thursday. His hand size is 8.5 inches, and while that may not seem like it's that big of a deal, it is smaller than any current NFL quarterback. The average hand size, and I've actually got the numbers here, Chris, the actual average hand size for NFL quarterbacks from 2008 until 2020 was 9.7 inches. The biggest was Mark Sanchez back in 2009. His was 10.5 inches. The smallest, three different guys tied for it. It was Jared Goff, Ryan Tannehill, and Joe Burrow all had 9-inch hand sizes. The other guys in this class, along with Kenny Pickett, Matt Corral, 9 5/8 inches, Malik Willis, 9.5, Sam Howell, 9.5. Let's see, Desmond Ridder, 10 inches, Carson Strong, 9 1/4 inches, Bailey Zapp is 9 3/4 inches. Do you think that this makes any difference in the world? Like, this kid is double jointed. He already throws it kind of weird anyway. If he's good, if he can read the field, then he should be all right, right?
Well, I would just ask people to go back and listen to our conversation this time last year when everyone said all these exact same things about Joe Burrow. And Joe Burrow had enough self-indulgence to be able to, send out a tweet joking, or not, maybe not last year, 2 years ago, about, okay, well, I'm thinking about announcing my retirement now since I have a small hand and people think that I can't play football because of this. And so, this is dumb. This is just dumb. I want to know, can the kids play? All right. I do know that the football in the NFL is different than the football in college, but at some point in time, I just don't care. I want to know, can he play? Can he hold the football? Yes. Can he throw it? Sure. We're going to watch him do those things. He's going to be capable. He's going to be fine. Do I think he's going to be the next Joe Montana? No. Do I think that has anything to do with his hand size? No, not at all.
I don't think so either. Do you think it could cost him when it comes to the NFL draft, though?
No. I don't think the NFL cares about any of this stuff at all. I think this is all made for TV.
It's a little strange, isn't it, that we are still doing this whole thing. I know that there was only one wide receiver that announced that he was going to bench press at the Combine today. All of the other wide receivers said, nah, I'm out. And it's because everybody's getting more intelligent when it comes to sports science. You know, this is something, by benching on the same day that you're running routes and all that, that can actually hurt your performance in other things. So all of them said, nah, we're good. Like, y'all already see what I can bench at whatever school, etc. Like, do we even need the Combine anymore?
No. The Combine was started years ago when guys didn't have the money to do these things. And NFL teams were little old teams that were, still riding around in buses and things like that. So they all got together in one place. This is an antiquated thing. I'm not saying I don't think we need it. Are we going to have it? I mean, we have lots of things that we don't need. Is it good for TV? Here's what I think it's good for. I think it's good for kids that are on the bubble. Yes. I think it's good for those kids that don't know if they're going to get drafted or not, because then it gives them an opportunity to showcase what they can do. But for those who know they're going to be drafted, there's just no purpose in them even being here. Outside of the medicals and the interviews, that's what it's important for. It is important for those two things. I believe that.
I mean, we've seen a huge drop-off from people that are from the players that are deciding to run, the players that are deciding to weigh in, etc. A lot of them are really only coming for medicals and interviews, and I think it'll continue. So the guys that you're going to see that are actually running drills are not going to be the stars of the sport, the guys that'll be first-rounders. It'll be guys that might be, if you're a tweener, if you might be first round, but you're kind of predicted to be second round, maybe there's value in running these, but it could also cost you that first round spot, right?
Yeah, just your lower tier guy.
Yes.
So
yes, you're 100% right.
This thing used to be a thing where head coaches came religiously, right?
Yeah.
And now almost no head coach is going to be there at all. None of them go anymore.
No, because they have their own interviews with players whenever they want. They schedule it. They fly the guy up, or they fly to wherever he is, and they will do it on their terms.
We just do it on Zoom now. They spent a year doing that, and now they know how to do that. And so now, why waste time?
No, you're 100% right. 100% right. All right, let's do this podcast read right quick. Go check out the website, winningcureseverything.com. Make sure that you are subscribed everywhere you need to be subscribed, whether it's on the podcast, and that's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, but whatever your podcast app is, go over there, leave a nice 5-star review for us. We would certainly appreciate that. And make sure that you are signed up and, subscribed over at YouTube. That's the best way to get us, so that you can see our beautiful smiling faces and see us actually talking to you. If you are subscribed on YouTube, go ahead and like the video for us. Make sure that you jump into the chat as well, or the comments, or whatever. We like to interact with you guys, so make sure that you dive in over there. You can also follow us on Twitter. I'm at GaryWCE, Chris is at Chris B. Giannini, and the show is at Winning Cures. Along with that, you can catch me on BetUS TV or the BetUS College Football Show. You can find both of those very easily, betustv.com. All right, moving on from there, the NFL, which we were just talking about, the NFL has said that they are done with COVID protocols. The NFLPA and the NFL have both agreed that going into this next season, they are done. There's going to be no protocols. This thing has declined enough that they all feel comfortable enough that they're not worried about this anymore. Here's my question. One, is there any doubt in your mind that they were done with this shit before the playoffs?
Oh, not at all. Not at all. Yeah, They were done with it last year in the playoffs too, by the way.
Yeah, that's what I was.
As soon as games actually started to matter, where they could not have any wiggle room at all from getting away from it, they quit doing it. So this year, going forward, but I think the whole rest of the country is. I mean, we just saw the State of the Union address, and President Biden said the same thing. It's time to open up. It's time to get back to normal. I want to see normal. I want to see 2019 life next year. This year, right now.
Yes, I agree. This was not a surprise to me. I guess the surprise was that they just went ahead and announced it, beginning of March, while the NFL Combine's going on and all that. So it is a strange, especially the fact that we did have a near boycott of the Combine over these stupid COVID protocols, and now we're just done. Like, there's nothing else that we're going to be looking at going into next season. That's the only thing that I found interesting, was that it was just 2 weeks ago that we nearly had a boycott over these COVID policies, and now we just aren't going to have any. It's like how quickly things change in just a matter of weeks. Moving on from there, let's go ahead and talk some college football. We got a few things to do with realignment, so we will start off with this one. The American Athletic Conference has stated that if Houston and Cincinnati and UCF want to leave for the Big 12 before the 2023 season, they are going to owe the AAC $35 million on top of the $10 million fee that they would have to pay if they were to leave after the 2024 season. So I'm curious your thoughts on this. The AAC did a fantastic job when they set up all of their grants of rights back when realignment was going on a few years ago. Give me your thoughts here. Do you think that Houston is the one that has really expressed interest in leaving early? BYU will be there in time for the 2023 season. Do you think that Houston wants to be out of the AAC bad enough that Fertitta is going to pay them the money?
I think Houston's got deep enough pockets to do that. I think there's a lot of football money in Houston. Oh, yes. So that would not surprise me at all. And that wouldn't bother me. Is Cincinnati and UCF going to stay?
Apparently so. It says here's the beginning of the article. It says the American Athletic Conference has asked the University of Houston, Central Florida, and Cincinnati to each pay an additional $35 million to leave early for the Big 12. A person with knowledge of the discussions told the Houston Chronicle. The additional amount is on top of the $10 million exit fee, meaning the three schools would each be on the hook for $45 million if they exit in 2023. They're contractually... So for
Cincinnati, that seems like a lot of money. Okay?
Yeah.
Like, the University of Memphis ain't got those kind of pockets. All right?
Agreed.
Cincinnati, I assume, is very similar to Memphis. They don't have those kind of pockets. UCF, I could see them coming up with the money. But Houston, I feel like this is not going to be a big deal if they want to do it.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm looking at here. It said that they all accepted invitations to join the Big 12 last September, but they are contractually required to remain in the AAC through 2024. Now, you can pay the $10 million fee to get out of it once you get into 2024. The issue is going to be, if you want to leave a year early, you're going to have to pay $35 million. This might make more sense for Houston, because Houston really wants to get back in where they get to play Oklahoma and Texas and all those Texas schools.
I don't even think it's Oklahoma, Texas. Well, it is Oklahoma and Texas, which they would get because those teams are staying. We're talking about that for a little bit.
Yep.
But this is not just Oklahoma and Texas. This is they can make that $30 million up in maybe not them as a school, but them as the surrounding area boosters and ticket sales of it. Now you're starting to play teams like TCU, Texas Tech, Baylor, all these schools that are in your state that you can make some money on. And you would, and I think that's a big deal.
You would make it in ticket sales, no problem. No problem. First year.
Well, not just ticket sales. I mean, think about all the things that go into a football game being in your town.
Oh yeah. Oh, I know. I mean, it would be bananas. So yeah, no, I think it's great. I think it's for Houston it makes sense.
that whole midtown and downtown area of just Memphis. You're talking little old Memphis, all right? It's popping during Tiger football games. Okay.
Yeah.
But when Tennessee comes to town, or Ole Miss or Mississippi State comes in, now you're talking everybody gets fed.
Yes.
Everybody makes record cash that weekend. And that's a big, big deal. And it's so much bigger than money just going to the school. It's so much bigger than that.
Oh, yes. Oh, 100%. This is going to be interesting. The BYU is joining the Big 12 in 2023. So after this season,
why would they not join? They don't have a conference to lead. They can do whatever the hell they want. This is going to save them work because they got to work a schedule every year.
Exactly.
And now they don't have to work a damn schedule.
You got that right. So BYU is going to go on to join 2023. If Houston wants to come over with them, it's going to cost them. But I would imagine that UCF and Cincinnati are going to wait.
So let me ask you this.
Okay.
Do we know, let's say Houston comes, let's say BYU comes, Texas, Oklahoma are still there. Now they're going to have 12 teams. They're going to go from 10 to 12. Are they going to play everybody like they do now? Are they going to split into divisions for the 12?
I mean, they would have to do divisions. I would imagine that they. And let me take that back. They may just do not a round robin, but maybe like a pod format of some sort. I doubt that they do divisions. But maybe they go ahead and do divisions because they were already talking about that.
They're going to have divisions once the other two get there anyway, right?
Yeah, they've been talking about that. So if they do that,
so I guess what you do is you just put Texas and Oklahoma, and basically those are placeholders for UCF and Cincinnati.
Yeah, I think that's the right way of looking at it. Let's let's talk about them right quick. So multiple articles came out, but the lead one was Chip Brown over at Horns 247, and it is unlikely that Oklahoma and Texas are going to leave the Big 12 before 2024, which we all thought that Oklahoma and Texas would go ahead and leave after this 2022 season, right? All the TV stuff was kind of starting to align itself. ESPN talking about buying out CBS, or at least their SEC Game of the Week rights. Well, here's the deal. They have both publicly stated that they plan to join the SEC when the Big 12's current television rights agreement expires in July of 2025. However, Chip Brown notes the teams will have to pay the $80 million exit fees regardless of if they leave in 2023 or in 2025, as the members of the league agreed to a 99-year grant of media rights in 2012. So the sources are telling Horns 247 Sports this week that Oklahoma is not as financially flexible as Texas when it comes to having to pay that $80 million in exit fees. It says money won't have any influence on when Texas decides to leave, but Texas and Oklahoma are going to make that move together, so it probably won't happen until 2024. Basically, Oklahoma is going to need until 2024 to figure out the financing of its exit. This thing doesn't drop. It's going to be a huge payout. Are you surprised at all that Oklahoma is the one, kind of holding this up?
It's weird to me that they don't have the money to leave, but that they're leaving for money. Like, that's strange. That's a weird thing. Yeah, I don't know. That's like getting a job. That's like if I became, congressman for the state of Mississippi, right? But I only make like $40,000 a year, and so now I've got the congressman's salary, but that's not enough money for me to basically live here and live in DC to go back and forth to do my job, and so I don't have enough money to do the job that I was awarded.
Yes, it becomes a huge thing. What's a good analogy? Something like starting your own business, but you don't have any savings to go and start the business. So you go ahead and leave your job, but you're not you don't have anything set up yet. So it's all right, well, How do we do this? Right?
I've been there. That's listen. You can find ways around those things.
Well, yeah.
This is just strange that they would do this. I would think that, like, is there no nobody? Here's the thing. Listen, all the SEC schools got money, right? Like, somebody passed the plate. Let's get a loan up. Let's put like a 6% interest rate on it for Oklahoma, okay? And then let's let them come on over. I think there's a little bit of tongue in cheek here. I wonder if they don't leave until 2024, and UCF, no, because that money's not going to end up going to UCF. That's the thing.
Yeah, no, it won't go to UCF. The money will change.
Only go to the Big 12 teams that are there now.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to figure out. Like, I don't understand this, and I'm shocked that there's nobody that they can borrow the money from.
Yeah, I mean, obviously,
like, we can't get a 20-year note on that $80 million.
I'm sure they will figure out something. But
listen, them boys down in Auburn got $80 million floating around. Okay,
yeah,
it's walking around money.
They firing coaches all the time.
They got 3 coaches on that. So listen, look, hit them a note, 6%. Look, I think we'll do 0.5% closing fees. We'll do 6% on the VIG, and you can come on over.
That seems like the smart idea. I don't think the SEC would be willing to help out with that because their TV contract isn't going to change for a few years anyway. So they're going to
I'm not asking to pay it for them, but I'm asking to pay it and then pay us back. We don't garnish your wages. Listen, we're the ones that cut you the money from the TV money, okay? TV money goes to the SEC. It goes through that dishwashing cycle, and then it gets spit out to the 14 or 16 teams, right? Well, we're just going to hold back our piece every month until we're paid off. It's not that hard of a problem.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. You are not wrong.
We're going to keep your bowl money for the first 5 years you're here, and the $80 million will add up.
There you go.
We're done.
Finally finished. I like it. Yeah.
This is not a hard problem to solve. It's shocking to me that these people run the biggest, most powerful institution in education in our country. And they're really bad problem solvers.
Yeah.
Like, really, really bad at this.
Always have been.
If it costs me 80 to leave today or 80 to leave 3 years from now, my ass is on the first thing smoking today with 2 middle fingers in the air at you.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So it doesn't make a ton of sense to me, but apparently, Oklahoma is still trying to figure it out, and we'll see what goes from there. Another note in that report is there's a lot of details still left to be worked out between ABC, ESPN, and Texas over the remaining years of the Longhorn Network, which technically runs through 2031. It says Texas has been paid $115.5 million from the Longhorn Network agreement so far. It's a lot of money.
Well, that thing was a complete just
disaster
job for ESPN. Like, ESPN did a couple of real good things for during that time where they made a lot of money. They made a couple of real bad bets too.
Well, my God, that whole thing is what led to Texas A&M joining the SEC in the first place.
Yeah,
they
maybe it was a long play. Maybe it was listen. This is one of those you lose the poker hand early, make them think you're a dummy, and then you get it on the back end.
You might be right about that. You might be right because the $115 million that they've made from this Longhorn Network, they're likely going to make near that just in the first few years of their agreement with the SEC.
Getting A&M to go to ESPN or go to the SEC bolstered the SEC, gave juice to the SEC that the SEC hadn't had in a long time, and it gave them a foothold, a stronghold into Texas. And then you later get Texas back. Oh man, yeah. No, this is full sharking 101. This is I lost every game $10 a ball. Now we're playing $500 a ball. I'm about to roll the table on your ass.
I like it. All right, I got 2 other topics that I want to hit on. Our Briles, which we've talked about multiple times already, but the news broke, around the time that we did the show earlier in the week. Yeah, which is insane. Briles has announced that he is resigning from Grambling, and I don't know that is super surprising. There's just so much media backlash, which is, we kind of talked about that on the last show. It was like, why? Why does everybody care so much? I get it. I understand what happened under his watch, but also, I mean, what are we doing? Like, this guy's a football coach. Let him coach football. Regardless of that, the other thing that came out of this was the Hue Jackson Foundation. And I'm curious your thoughts on this.
Hue. Hue. What?
So, how about this? Over under 1.5 seasons that Hue Jackson is the coach at Grambling. Do you think he even makes it to September?
Probably. I don't know. Look, that I don't know. I'm not going to speak to those things. I think that has to have firing for cause, I believe, because some of these HBCUs don't have the deep pockets, and I don't know how much he would fight. So
it's amazing. Like, the person that I thought would bring in Art Briles would be somebody that is really well established wherever they are already, right? Somebody that is not going to have to deal with this mess and whatnot. But if you are hiring a guy that the school won't even let you put out a press release on their account, right? They won't even put it out for you. This is why you have communications directors. Like, this kind of stuff is what you have all these people at these universities for. And if you don't have those guys, well, this is what ends up happening, right? And I don't know if Grambling does or does not, but to send his what's the right term? To send out his response, or not response, he was protecting his hire, right? To send that out on a company letterhead that had the Hue Jackson Foundation, which did you even know that was a thing?
Well, no, but I'm certain all these rich guys have foundations.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's
yes.
Good.
Did I know the Hue Jackson Foundation specifically was a thing? No. Did I assume that Hue Jackson, who's made millions and millions of dollars, would have a foundation in his name? Absolutely.
It makes sense. It makes sense. The news that came out, ESPN reporter kind of dug into it because all of these nonprofits have to release their tax information, right? So
right.
They brought in, what, $150,000 or somewhere around there. They paid out
like $146,000.
Yeah, all right. So at $146,000, they paid out $20,000 of it to one employee.
Nope. It was like $140,000. Like $6,000 went to the charity. So they paid like $8,000 for some turkeys for Thanksgiving for like a small community.
Which is insane. They brought in $150,000.
When Hue Jackson's got a foundation that doesn't match what you and I probably donate a year. And we're just two bugs, man.
Yes.
We're just two bums.
It is insane. It's really insane to think about. It's like, why would you even put this? And of course,
he's got a foundation, baby.
Oh, and the girl that runs the foundation, the one that got the paychecks and whatnot, she's the one that came out and said the out loud stuff that you're not supposed to say, right? And I can't even remember what all it was, but my gosh, just why even let this become a thing? Like, it's not that anything is illegal here.
This is also one of those things where an attorney did not write this either.
Oh, 100%.
Because they didn't use any of the things that I would use. And we talked about how I would hire Art Briles in a heartbeat if I had an MC job open.
Yeah.
To defend the hire. They didn't use any of it. They used a bunch of cliche speak that nobody wants to hear. Nobody wants to hear. I would have laid out some facts. I would have lulled them to sleep with that. And now I'd slam my hand down and say, this is what we're doing, damn it. Get in line or get the hell out the way.
It was a poorly written statement. It was just awful, Like, and then of course after that, I think. So now I'm trying to figure out, because Briles is the one that actually resigned because of all the pressure.
Yeah, Briles resigned.
Do you think that he decided, you know what? If I'm going to get back involved, it doesn't need to be with somebody that's going to put out that statement, because that didn't offend him at all.
I would like to talk to him. I would like to know one-on-one, like personally, are you like, because the smoke is going to come no matter where you go. So if this much disruption bothers you so bad, you're out of coaching forever. Like, you're done.
Yes.
Or did you just realize in order for you to be successful and ever have a comeback story, you have to be able to hitch your wagon to somebody who is completely flawless.
Yeah, that's what I would like to know as well.
We're talking, just clean as a whistle, no skeletons, no garbage, the most trusted person alive, like Pat Fitzgerald kind of man. Which, by the way, I know our Northwestern friends would hate that, and then they would love it the first Saturday of football.
Oh,
You're dropping 60 on somebody for the first time in your life.
Well, we'll say this: there is a risk,
all over the place.
Right? There is a risk with bringing him in, and it's not so much all the other stuff. It is, it's not the off-field stuff. It is his offense has been replicated over and over and over. Like, people know that offense at this point. Now, I do think he's probably still got some more ammo in the barrel here, but who knows, right? Who knows because we kind of thought that with Chip Kelly, right? We thought Chip Kelly going to UCLA would be big, and
we've talked about this in the past, Gary. There's a difference between architects and copycats.
That's true.
Okay. All right. There's a difference between the student and the master.
Yeah.
Okay. This guy's the architect of that offense, and while other people know it, they ain't seen what he can do. And I think he's got a football mind that can figure out the counters to his counters. I just do. I watched him do it. And I watched him do it at little old Baylor, where nobody thought they had a chance to win at Baylor.
True.
Ever.
True.
With
And
the talent that they had there.
Yeah, they totally revitalized that program. It took it to heights that they have never hit at Baylor. And they're still doing it now. I mean, we're talking three straight coaches have won Big 12 titles. Well, so Dave Aranda won one, but Matt Rule didn't.
Yeah. No. But they all, listen, all three of them took that program to another level, and to another level, and to another level. So he started something that is still sustained today.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. You brought up architects, by the way. This popped into my head. Matt Mumme, Hal Mumme's son, who is the offensive coordinator at Colorado State now, he followed me on Twitter last night. I'm trying to figure out how in the world he even knows who I am. So I'll have to reach out to him. I'd like to get him on the show sometime.
He's a basketball fan, man. He's trying to win some bets.
That must be what it is, I guess. Getting ready for March Madness. But good gracious, I saw that pop up last night. I said, man, did we talk about Matt or Hal Mumme at all? I don't guess so. So who knows? But yeah. So I'm curious what actually happened here. I would imagine that we will hear more from this Art Briles story as to why he actually decided to resign. If it was because of Hue Jackson,
I bet we don't.
You don't think so?
I bet we don't hear anything about it, and unless he gets picked up by somebody else, I bet we don't hear anything about it because. What happened the last time he tried to get a job? He just became a ghost. He goes away, and he waits for somebody to call his phone.
Yeah. Now, he went and coached high school ball for just a little bit, and then he resigned from that as well, and we'll see. I mean, he's getting on up there as far as age goes, so, he's well into his 60s, if I'm not mistaken.
And look, I understand the scares of people not wanting him to be the face of a program. Not wanting him to be the head man of the program. I get that. I didn't say hire him for a head coach tomorrow. I said I'd hire him as an OC, though.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'll tell you this. The list is real short of the offensive play callers that are wearing the OC title right now across the country in college football that are better than him.
Yes. He is 66, by the way. He'll turn 67
Yeah,
in December.
no. 66-year-old man with a dyed blonde skullet. I don't know what the hell to do with that. I will tell you this: if I was going to hire him, I've never been this guy. Look to deceiving people, judge me based on the way I look my entire life. You're fat, you're goofy, nobody respects me. I'm bald headed, and I got a fat ass beard, cover up my face. Like, look, I understand it. I'm just going to tell him. Listen, We got to shave. We're gonna get a damn haircut. We're gonna get this shit out your hair, and we're gonna get on the sidelines. We're gonna look like a damn professional. That's all I care about.
Yeah, just go back to looking like you looked when you were the head coach.
Okay, look, I'm bald. Listen, bald is beautiful. Jordan made bald cool a long, long time ago, baby.
Yes, he did.
Just shave it off.
All right, let's wrap up with this one. The Sun Belt Conference announced their college football schedule for this fall, and it included Southern Miss, Marshall, and Old Dominion, along with James Madison. But that's not who we're talking about right now, because we are talking about the 3 schools that currently have lawsuits against Conference USA, and Conference USA has lawsuits against them as far as them leaving and not, etc. I honestly thought that the Sun Belt would not release their conference schedule until some of this stuff was resolved, right? And it could be a long while before it gets resolved, but I figured beginning of summer, like not right before spring practice, right? We're recording this on March 3rd. We have our first spring game of the season tonight. This is Thursday night, so if you're listening on Friday morning, then Coastal Carolina had their spring game on Thursday night. I'm curious your thoughts why the Sun Belt would even get involved with this, because now the Sun Belt is opening themselves up to a lawsuit from Conference USA, and this is going to get even more ugly. Sam, our buddy from the Westlake Pirates, when I shared this stuff out the other day, he said, as Andrew Brandt would say, there will be lawyers. And there's 100% going to be more lawyers. I would imagine we'll see something next week from Conference USA regarding the schedule announcement, etc. This is, if the Sun Belt is now getting involved in this, that makes them an accessory to this. And I don't know why you would even put yourself in that position if you are the conference. What are your thoughts here?
I would do it. I would absolutely do it. But because if you don't put them out there, if you put your schedule out without them out there, you've conceded. But if Conference USA put their schedule out with them on there. So no. They're on my schedule. They're on your schedule. Whose schedule are people going to believe? This is it. This is the court of public opinion you're going after right now. Because if you can get the majority of the country to start buying into the propaganda that they belong to you and not them, then, baby, this is what's going to sway too many people. And now Conference USA is going to be screwed in that. I would put out a blitz media campaign saying they're one of us now. This is what, because nobody in the country knows who's in the Sun Belt outside of diehard college football fans.
True.
Nobody knows who's in Conference USA. So if you just say it enough, loud enough for everybody to hear, everybody will be like, "What? Why is Conference USA so mad? What claim do they have? These schools don't want to be there. They're not there because most people just found out about this 5 minutes ago."
Oh, yeah.
I'm telling you, I would absolutely, because Conference USA kept them on their schedule. So if you put your schedule out without them on there, I'm telling you right now, you lose this battle.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see exactly what ends up happening here, because, there will be a bunch of lawsuits and whatnot, but we are not talking about a ton of money. This is not Texas leaving to join the SEC. We're not talking $80 million. The TV contracts for these Conference USA teams and the Sun Belt teams are, at best, $500,000 a year. I mean, we are not talking a ton of money. And I'm a little shocked at Conference USA for fighting this so hard, but I understand, you and I both men of principle, I believe. I can understand wanting somebody to hold to their contract, but also, you got to figure out a way to solve this. This is becoming so ridiculous.
Look, I want people to hold to their contract. There's ways to buy out of it, okay?
Yeah.
There's lots of contracts around, okay? I just pay the damn fee to get out, all right?
Yes.
It's not that damn much money. Pay the fee to get out.
Call up one of your boosters.
USA on it.
Yeah, call up somebody that that got a bunch of money, because I'm telling you.
Pass the plate.
Yeah.
Pass the plate, and let's get out of this deal.
Yeah, get this thing done, because your TV contract with the Sun Belt is going to be worth a lot more.
Yeah, that's my thought with that one. But if I'm Conference USA or if I'm the Sun Belt, Why would I put this in the schedule? Oh, no, definitely. I'm putting them in the schedule because they belong to us. Because if you don't, you've admitted defeat.
That's a good point. I had not looked at it that way. So that's interesting. That is interesting. You got any other topics that you want to hit today?
No, that's it, brother.
All right, well, let's go on and get out of here. I'm going to go on and let you go, and I'll wrap this thing up.
See ya.
All right, be good, buddy. All right, so that was Chris. Another fantastic day, another fantastic show. Yeah, I am excited about the coming weeks. We're going to have some fun shows coming up over the next 2 weeks. Chris and I both, I believe, will be in Disney at the same time, but we will still have shows. So make sure that you tune in. We'll be talking a lot of college football over the next couple of weeks. Spring practice is ready to roll. Clemson is they got maybe a quarterback battle going on. All kind of different things that we will be discussing as we move forward. So with that said, go check out the website, winningcureseverything.com, and make sure, if you would so kindly, that you are subscribed on podcast and on YouTube. With that said, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. You guys take care of yourself. Take care of each other. And hopefully, all of your tickets cash this week. Thanks for checking out Winning Cures Everything. If you want to keep up with us, hit subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. Visit the website at winningcureseverything.com, or you can like us on Facebook or follow us at Winning Cures, at Gary WCE, or at Chris B. Giannini on Twitter.